They say we stopped going to the moon because it wasn't worth the cost anymore. They say the public lost interest after the first few Apollo missions. They're lying. I know the truth, and it's been buried under decades of blood, silence, and bodies that were never supposed to be found. My name is Commander Michael Chun, and I was the pilot of Apollo 20, the mission that never officially happened. The mission that discovered we weren't alone on the moon. The mission that discovered they've been waiting for us, hunting us, planning for the day when we'd be ripe enough to harvest. I'm recording this from a safe house in rural Montana, constantly moving, always looking over my shoulder. Not from government agents. From them. Because they know I survived. They know I escaped. And they've been searching for me for 43 years. Tonight, I received a message that changed everything. They're coming. Not just for me. For all of us. And humanity has maybe 72 hours before the harvest begins. It was August 1976. Apollo 20 launched from Vandenberg Air Force Base under total communications blackout. No press, no fanfare, just a handful of men in unmarked suits watching from a concrete bunker as we rode a Saturn V into the black void. My crew, myself as commander and pilot, Dr. Sarah Whitmore, exobiologist with 3 doctorates and a security clearance higher than most generals, and Lieutenant Colonel Viktor Petrov, Soviet cosmonaut on loan through a secret Dayton agreement that officially didn't exist. The flight to the moon took 72 hours. We spent it reviewing classified briefings about the Marius Hills thermal anomalies. NASA had detected them during Apollo 15's orbital survey, heat signatures in the ancient lava tubes that defied explanation. Temperatures of 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit in an environment that should have been minus 250 degrees in shadow. And patterns. The signatures pulsed with rhythmic regularity, like something breathing, like something alive. Our mission parameters were simple. Investigate, document, collect samples, return. Houston believed we'd find some exotic chemical reaction, maybe some radioactive decay from ancient lunar volcanism generating residual heat. The scientists were excited about the potential for discovery. We thought we were making first contact with some microbial colony, some primitive organism clinging to existence in underground ice pockets. We were wrong. We were so terribly, catastrophically wrong. The descent into the lava tube took 40 minutes. We used specialized rappelling equipment designed for lunar gravity, dropping slowly down the collapsed tube wall. Our helmet lights cut through absolute darkness, revealing smooth basalt walls that showed signs of ancient volcanic activity. But as we descended deeper, we began to notice something else. Marks on the walls. Not the random scoring of micrometeorite impacts. These were deliberate, organized, carved with precision that suggested tools, technology, purpose. They ran in horizontal bands along the tube wall, each symbol approximately 10 centimeters high. Sarah photographed everything, her scientific mind cataloging and analyzing even as her voice carried an edge of growing unease. These are recent, she said. I mean, geologically recent. Maybe a few thousand years old. Maybe less. Recent. Petrov sounded skeptical. This tube is millions of years old. The tube is, Sarah agreed. But these carvings aren't. Something was here. Something intelligent. Something that wanted to leave a message. What kind of message? I asked, though part of me didn't want to know. Sarah's light played across a section where the symbols changed, became more elaborate, almost pictographic. I think it's a warning. Or maybe instructions. Or, she stopped. Commander, I recommend we proceed with extreme caution. At the bottom of the pit, we found an entrance. Perfectly circular. 3 meters in diameter. Too perfect to be natural. And inside, a sickly green bioluminescence pulsed like a heartbeat, casting dancing shadows across the lunar dust. I'm reading atmosphere, Sarah reported. Thin but present. And warm. 78 degrees. On the airless moon, Petrov's voice was tight. Something is generating it, she said. Something is maintaining it. We entered. The tunnel spiraled down for 200 meters before opening into a chamber, so vast our lights couldn't reach the walls. But we could see what was in the center. Eggs. Thousands of them. each one approximately 2 meters tall, covered in a translucent membrane that pulsed with that same green bioluminescence. And inside each egg, something moved, something large, something with scales and claws and eyes that tracked our movements even through the membrane. Jesus Christ, I whispered. They're viable, Sarah breathed, her scanner beeping frantically. These eggs are alive. The embryos are fully developed. They're just waiting. Waiting for what? Petrov asked. That's when we heard it. A sound like rocks grinding together, like bones breaking, coming from deeper in the chamber. Our lights swung toward the sound, and we saw them. They emerged from alcoves carved into the distant walls, not stumbling, not disoriented, moving with predatory grace, their bodies perfectly adapted to the lunar gravity. They stood 7 feet tall, their bodies covered in dark green-black scales that absorbed our lights like living shadows. Their legs were digitigrade, bent backward like a raptor's, ending in clawed feet that clicked against stone. Their arms were long, powerful, each hand bearing 3 taloned fingers and an opposable thumb. But their heads, God, their heads, elongated skulls, mouths full of needle teeth, and eyes, vertical pupilled eyes that glowed in the darkness with their own internal light. Not gold, not silver, red, blood red, the eyes of something that had evolved to hunt in total darkness. One of them opened its mouth and made a sound. Not a hiss, not a roar. Something between the two, resonating in frequencies that made my teeth ache and my vision blur. The translation came through our primitive software as a series of words that made my blood freeze. The young ones have ripened. The livestock have developed. The harvest approaches. Run! I screamed. We turned and ran back toward the tunnel. Behind us, I could hear them moving, not running. They didn't need to run. They were hurting us, playing with us. We made it to the tunnel entrance and scrambled upward. My heart hammered. My breath came in ragged gasps. Behind me, Petrov was climbing, Sarah above him. And below, those red eyes watched us climb. Amused. One of them spoke again. The translation came through broken, distorted, but clear enough. Run, little mammals. Run back to your hive. Tell your queens. Tell your warriors. We are awake now. We are hungry. And your world is ready. We reached the surface and sprinted, as much as you can sprint in lunar gravity, back to the module. We launched with barely enough time to run the pre-flight checks. As we lifted off, I looked down through the window. They were standing on the surface now. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Emerging from tunnels we hadn't seen, from craters we'd thought were empty. They'd been there all along, watching, waiting. And as we climbed toward orbit, I saw something that made me understand the true horror of what we'd found. More tunnels, all across the visible surface. Thousands of them. And from each one, more of them were emerging, standing, looking up at us, watching our ship climb away. Not attacking, not pursuing, just waiting, because they knew something we didn't. We rendezvoused with the command module and began the journey home. But something was wrong. Sarah had been quiet since we left the surface. Too quiet. Sarah? I called back to her station. No response. Sarah, respond. Petrov unbuckled and floated back to her position. I heard his sharp intake of breath. Commander, we have a problem. I turned. Sarah was convulsing. Her eyes had rolled back in her head. Foam leaked from the corners of her mouth. And her skin was changing color. A faint greenish tint spreading from her neck upward. What's happening to her? I demanded. I don't know, but Petrov stopped. His face went pale. Commander, her suit. Look at her suit. There was a tear. Small, maybe 2 centimeters. In the back, near the life support connection. And around the tear, a residue. Green, bioluminescent. One of them tagged her, I whispered, when we were running. One of them got close enough to breach her suit. They infected her. Sarah's convulsions stopped. For a moment, she was completely still. Then her eyes opened. They were red. Sarah, Petrov reached toward her. She moved faster than should have been possible. Her hand shot out and grabbed Petrov's wrist. I heard bones crack. He screamed. She pulled him close, her mouth opening impossibly wide. Her teeth, when had her teeth become so sharp, sinking into his throat. Blood sprayed in zero gravity. crimson globules floating through the cabin like obscene jewels. I grabbed the emergency medical kit and pulled out the sedative injector. But Sarah, or the thing that had been Sarah, was already turning toward me. Her neck twisted at an angle that would have broken a human spine. "The harvest," she said, but the voice wasn't hers. It was layered, multiple voices speaking in unison. "The harvest is coming. We have tasted your world. We have studied your kind. Soft, weak, warm, perfect livestock, perfect incubators. Your cities will become our hatcheries. Your children will feed our young. And you will understand, finally, that you were never the apex predator. You were always prey." I jammed the sedative into her neck. She laughed, a horrible, wet sound, before finally slumping unconscious. Petrov was dead. His blood painted the cabin walls. And I was alone with something wearing my friend's face. I made it back to Earth. Barely. Sarah was restrained, unconscious, her vital signs showing impossible readings. Body temperature fluctuating between 60 and 110 degrees, heartbeat irregular, brain activity suggesting she was simultaneously dying and regenerating. When we landed, they were waiting. Not NASA, not the military, something else. Men in black suits with credentials I wasn't allowed to verify. They took Sarah immediately, took Petrov's body, took all our samples, all our recordings, everything. They put me in isolation for 3 months. No contact with anyone, just interrogations. The same questions over and over. What did you see? What did they say? Did any of them follow you? That last question haunted me, because the answer was yes. Sarah had followed us. Sarah had made it back to Earth, and whatever was inside her had come too. They released me eventually. Gave me a cover story, classified mission, successful completion, national security, can't talk about it. They set me up with a pension, a new identity, and a handler who checked in weekly for the first 5 years. Then monthly. Then quarterly. Eventually, they seemed satisfied I wasn't going to talk. They gave me one final briefing. Stay quiet. Live your life. Forget what you saw, or disappear permanently. I took their advice. For 43 years, I've moved from place to place, never staying long, never forming attachments, always watching for signs. Signs that they'd found me. Signs that the infection had spread. Signs that what I'd seen on the moon was somehow spreading to Earth. And I found them. It started small. News reports buried in local papers, never making national headlines. A mining crew in West Virginia disappeared in 1979. Search teams found their equipment, their vehicles, but no bodies. Just a tunnel that went deeper than the mine should have gone, and strange residue on the walls. Green, bioluminescent. In 1983, an entire research station in Antarctica went silent. When the relief team arrived 3 months later, they found the facility empty. No signs of struggle, no Voltius, but the ice beneath the station had been melted through, creating a shaft that descended into darkness. The relief team reported sounds from below, clicking sounds, like claws on stone. In 1991, a small town in Nevada, population 247, vanished overnight. The FBI investigated, found nothing. Officially, it was attributed to a cult suicide. But I obtained the classified photos through sources I'd cultivated over the years. Photos showing the town's old silver mine converted into something else. A hatchery, with eggs. Giant eggs, translucent, pulsing with green light. The pattern was clear. The creatures were establishing beachheads, using human hosts to spread their infection, building hatcheries in the deep places of the world where humans rarely ventured. Preparing, always preparing. I try to warn people, try to tell anyone who would listen. I contacted journalists, sent anonymous packages to news organizations, posted on conspiracy forums under dozens of pseudonyms. They call me crazy, conspiracy theorist, delusional old man suffering from isolation-induced paranoia. My own daughter stopped taking my calls. My handler warned me that continued attempts to spread disinformation would result in my pension being revoked and possible psychiatric commitment. So I stopped trying to convince people. Instead, I watched. I documented. I built a network of contacts, other believers, other witnesses, other people who'd seen things they couldn't explain. former military personnel who'd investigated the disappearances, scientists who'd been silenced after discovering anomalous genetic material. We shared information through encrypted channels, built a database of incidents, mapped the spread, and the pattern became undeniable. The hatcheries were spreading, concentrating in areas of high population density, beneath major cities, under subway systems and utility tunnels, in abandoned Cold War bunkers and decommissioned military bases. They were positioning themselves for something big. But then, 2 weeks ago, everything changed. I received a package. No return address. Plain brown paper wrapping. Inside was a USB drive and a note written in handwriting I recognized immediately, despite not having seen it in over 4 decades. Sarah's handwriting. Mike, if you're reading this, I'm still alive. Sort of. They kept me in a facility in Nevada. Been studying me for 43 years. Studying what I became. What's growing inside me. They know what's coming. They've known for decades. And they've been preparing. But not to defend us. To negotiate. To offer terms of surrender. To sacrifice 90% of humanity in exchange for the survival of a select few. The harvest begins in 72 hours. Every major cave system on Earth. Every abandoned mine. Every underground facility. They're already there. Millions of them. Billions. They've been tunneling, breeding, waiting. And when they emerge, it will be simultaneous. Global. Unstoppable. I managed to smuggle this out before the transformation completed. I'm still in here, Mike. Somewhere. Fighting. But I'm losing. And when I'm gone, they'll use my knowledge to find you. To find everyone who knows. The drive contains everything. Proof. Locations of their hatcheries. Genetic weaknesses we discovered. It's not much. Maybe not enough. But it's all I could give you. Tell the world. Scream it from every rooftop. Make them believe. Because if they don't prepare, if they don't fight, then humanity's last 72 hours will be spent as livestock, bred and harvested by predators we were foolish enough to disturb. We woke them up, Mike. We rang the dinner bell. And now we're on the menu. Sarah, I'm uploading the files now. Everything. Satellite imagery of the tunnel networks spreading beneath every continent. Thermal scans showing massive heat signatures in the deep places of the Earth. Videos smuggled out of black sites showing human subjects in various stages of transformation. And the worst part, the hatchery projections. 7 billion humans. 300 billion eggs. The mathematics are simple. The outcome is certain. But maybe, just maybe, if enough people know, if enough people prepare, if we fight together instead of hiding in denial, we might survive this. The moon was never ours. It was always theirs. A staging ground. A forward base. And we, in our arrogance, thought we were discovering it. We weren't discovering anything. We were being discovered, cataloged, evaluated, and deemed acceptable livestock for the harvest to come. The upload is at 94%. Through my window, I can see the moon rising. Full, bright, beautiful. And if I look carefully, I can see movement on its surface. Shadows crossing the gray plains. Shapes gathering at the Terminator line. Preparing. My phone is ringing. Unknown number. I know who it is. They've found me. They always find us in the end. But the upload hits 100%. The files are out, spreading across every server, every network, every device on Earth. Humanity knows now. The question is, will they believe in time? Will they fight? Or will they go gentle into that long night? As livestock always do, trusting their shepherds right up until the blade falls? The door is breaking down. The wood splinters. The metal hinges groan. I can hear them in the hallway outside. Multiple footsteps, but not human footsteps. The clicking of claws on hardwood floor. The scrape of scales against door frames. And that sound, that grinding, bone-breaking sound they make deep in their throats. The sound of predators communicating, coordinating, closing in on prey that has nowhere left to run. I'm transmitting this final message on every frequency I can access, broadcasting to every satellite, every radio station, every emergency channel. If you're hearing this, if you're reading this, look up, look at the moon, and understand what's coming. Through my window, I can see it rising. Full, bright, beautiful. And if I look carefully, if I look very carefully, I can see movement on its surface. Shadows crossing the gray plains. Shapes gathering at the Terminator line. Thousands of them. Med-medial. Preparing for the final phase. Preparing to come home to the world they've been cultivating for millennia. The door gives way, crashes inward, and they pour through. 7 of them. Maybe 8. Their red eyes glowing in the darkness. Their mouths opening to reveal rows of needle teeth. Their claws extending, ready to tear, to rend, to harvest. I keep typing, keep transmitting. Every second counts. Every word might save a life, might give humanity a fighting chance. They're not refugees. They're not explorers. They're not even conquerors. They're farmers. And the harvest moon rises tonight. God help us all. Transmission ends. Error. Connection lost. 71 hours, 43 minutes, and 17 seconds until projected emergence event.